Ladies and gentlemen, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show, and we've got to get started. The Cutlass, as it was. Now, you might get a little confused looking at this art, but realize that you are looking at some of the original concept art for the Cutlass. This is not the reworked Cutlass. It is the old one. You can, when you see some of the older art before the ship was ever flyable, before the ship was even in the game, you can realize how you can get the two a little bit confused. Seeing it from the top, of course, is a different story, and then you can pick the two out very easily. But recently, CIG was talking about AI server blades and the possibility of slaving a turret either to automated control or to the pilot's control. And it brought back something from the Cutlass's past. It brought back something very, very interesting, which was the idea of the poor man's Super Hornet. Now, cast your mind back quite a few years. I mean, we are talking about Star Citizen game development, right? So things take an exceedingly long amount of time to get done. But many, many, many moons ago, there was a little ship called the original Cutlass. And to some people in the community, it was viewed quite positively. To other people, it was seen as kind of like, well, it's not really a Super Hornet, not really good enough, it's got a lot of guns, but, it's going to be big and slow. And honestly, when the Cutlass first made it into the game, when the Cutlass first became flyable, it was a much different experience than the one you're looking at right here. It had a refreshingly open cockpit design, something that would, the need for which would become obvious later on down the road. And that was the thing with the Cutlass. A lot of people looked at it as the poor man's Super Hornet. It wasn't that great. But they weren't thinking about the future. They were thinking about that, what I used to call the arena commander fishbowl. Everyone packed in this small little sphere, dogfighting with each other, and like, oh, the Cutlass sucks. And it was like, no, you're not thinking about the future. Even when people were dumping all kinds of pressure on CIG to kind of redesign and rework the Cutlass to make it the quote-unquote nimble pirate fighter, I was one of the people who was pushing back on that and saying, no, you're right about the whole nimble pirate fighter thing. But the Cutlass that we have right now is a good ship. You're just not seeing the future. What this ship is going to become when the game becomes what it is supposed to become sooner or later. And now we are in that future. And I mean, the Cutlass has proven itself. Some of the concept ships that people get more and more excited about, the ships that people really kind of look at and go, oh my god, I can't wait to get my hands on that. In the end, I mean, let's look at a couple of them. The Drake Corsair and the Mercury Star Runner, you could argue, are really just further development down the Cutlass tree, further development along that line of thought. Whereas the Corsair represents an emphasis on firepower and attack, the Star Runner represents an emphasis on speed and evasion. Some people, still not fully grasping what the Star Runner is supposed to be. And they're like, oh, it's not enough guns. It's like, you're not getting it. But the thing of it is these kind of represent an evolution or a step beyond what the Cutlass originally was. These are like the next steps down that line. And that's why I think that these ships are so enthusiastically received by by not just the backers, but by myself. We look at these ships and we go like, yes, this is heading in the right direction. This is a good ship design. More of these, please. Whereas some people might look at it and go, oh, aesthetically, this is just a nightmare. I can't stand this. And, does it have carbon fiber cup holders? And does it have Corinthian leather seats? Does it have sport bucket seats and all this stuff? And the rest of us are like, it doesn't fucking matter. Is it a good ship or isn't it a good ship? Can it do the job that it's supposed to do, and can it do other jobs as well? That's the things that we look for. Why do you think when a new stealth bomber comes out, people go, oh, can it also do recon? When this ship comes out, oh, can it also do this, and can it also do the other thing? And CIG goes and they stamp all those ideas out. But people love these ships that just open doors and say, oh, it can do this, it can do that, it can do the other thing too. Whereas, some of these other ships, kind of repairs, kind of refuels, kind of rearms a little bit. Kind of a stealth fighter, but nothing else. Oh, it can carry troops into combat, but can't carry cargo. Nope. That's why these concepts succeed. That's why they get people excited, and that's kind of why the Cutlass is where it is right now. Now, going into the idea of CIG allowing us to slave the turret, either to automate it or to kind of remotely control the guns, I think that CIG might come in and say, well, the Cutlass is a bit of a cheaper ship, and so it doesn't really have the computing power for that. They may give us the ability to slave the turret guns to the pilot, but I don't think they'll ever give us automated turrets, though realistically, slaving the turret guns to the pilot's control would be the ultimate. I mean, it would just make the Cutlass so much better, and it would be fantastic and very enthusiastically received. But I think that deep down, the Cutlass kind of represents a big problem for CIG because it is so good. And it stands in stark contrast to all these other ships that are just packed to the gunwales with all this frivolous shit that doesn't matter. Whereas the Cutlass is just a ship that is designed to play Star Citizen. It is not designed to be the best dogfighter. It is not designed to be the best racer, the best bomber, the best cargo hauler, the best troop transport. Not designed to be the best at any of these things, but it's designed to be good enough at all of them. And that's what, in the end, kind of makes it the best ship. And I think that's kind of where these comments like paper thin come from, is CIG kind of going and saying, trying to claw back on the Cutlass. They're trying to kind of, knock it down a couple of pegs, because I think that's kind of the problem with the Drake line from CIG's point of view, is that they've got these ship designers out there like Aegis and Anvil, and they've been trying to hype these ships up, and oh, look what Aegis has done, ooh, look what Anvil's done. And when we go to CitizenCon event, and they're like, ooh, this one's hosted by Origin, this one's hosted by Anvil, and let's go see what Anvil's showing and everything like that. People are most enthusiastic to see what Drake is doing, because Drake makes good ships. Drake makes good ships for the universe. They're not packed with all kinds of frivolous stuff. There's going to be a certain amount of players out there who are like, oh no, I want a bar, I want a hot tub, I want all that. But most of the players who are playing this game are thinking about, I want a ship that gives me access to as many parts of the universe as possible at a price that I can afford, and that's always going to be Drake. And I think that by and large, that's where the majority of players sit. And that's kind of also, I think, what makes CIG a little bit nervous about the Drake line, is because they're priced, especially in the Cutlass's sake, very, very aggressively. It makes it a lot more difficult to justify the ballooning prices on other ships. And I think that that's kind of why the Caterpillar went from $225 to $300, or damn near. What is the Caterpillar at now? But, CIG has been ramping up the price because they're trying to justify not the Drake ships, but they're trying to justify the other ships' prices, because Drake is just too damn good. I think that that's why you hear comments like paper thin or CIG, kind of struggling with the idea of, well, these are civilian components, whereas these ships have military components, they have military grade components. That's why, that costs so much. That's what CIG is trying to find a way to kind of tamp down on the enthusiasm for, the more practically focused ships, rather than, the more frivolous and superfluous things. And that's kind of where you get statements like paper thin coming from. So when it comes to the idea of allowing us to slave the turrets, I'm enthusiastic, but at the same time, I'm a little bit like, I don't know if this is really going to be something that goes through with the Cutlass, because I'm not sure CIG can really handle a better Cutlass. It's not at $100. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.